stewardess came around and asked me if I'd like a drink. Here I was, an 18-year-old kid, and a beautiful stewardess was asking me what I'd like to drink. Things were picking up. Wait until I tell the guys. We landed at San Francisco Airport late that afternoon. Since I had until midnight to report to Oakland Army Base, I figured I'd stroll around San Francisco and act like a tourist. That's all it was, an act. I was too nervous, wondering what was in store for me. I found out where the bus to Oakland Army Base was and hopped aboard. Goodbye, civilian life. Hello, Army life. June 7th, 1968. The Oakland Army Base was a huge facility. It was the cleanest Army base I had ever seen. I found out in short order why it was so clean. While we were being processed, the sergeant had us on every type of detail possible. Police calls, painting benches, painting sidewalk curbing, washing windows. KP, kitchen patrol, was, and probably still is, the worst duty one could pull. The worst part of KP was the pots and pans man. The pots and pans man did nothing but scrub all day long. On a facility such as the Oakland Army Base, where the mess halls are open 24 hours a day, you can see this is a never-ending task. That is why, when you see the mess sergeant talking to the sergeant in charge of your detail, you do anything and everything to hide. The mess sergeant isn't discussing the weather with your sergeant. He is looking for volunteers. Do anything. Grab a broom, a bucket, faint, anything. But don't get picked for KP. I lucked out and never got KP. After 2 days of processing and playing the hurry-up-and-wait game, we were all set for transiting to Viet Nam. We were to board the plane the morning of the 9th. June 9th, 1968. 2 a.m. The sergeant came through the barracks yelling, "Everyone on Flight 429, let's go! Move it!" Well, this is finally it. We're finally off. Little did we know it would be 7 more hours before we would board the plane. The Army has a habit of rushing you to a certain spot at a certain time to wait. Our certain spot was an empty warehouse on the outskirts of the airfield. I think they purposely did this just in case anyone got cold feet. There were approximately 200 of us hanging around waiting to see what was next. It was an interesting lesson in human nature. Some guys were bragging about how many gooks they were going to get, how many ears they were going to bring home. Others were just sitting there, alone with their own thoughts, wondering what it was going to be like. If the war we saw on TV was going to be like the war we were about to encounter. I fell in the latter group. I was to learn in the not-too-distant future that the guys with the biggest mouths usually had the smallest bites. At about 9 a.m., 4 olive-drab Army buses pulled up. A burly sergeant jumped out of the first bus and yelled, "Okay, Flight 429, let's go!" One guy yelled, "Is this the bus for downtown San Francisco?" A few guys chuckled. Somehow, it didn't seem too funny to me. It was only a 15-minute ride to the plane. There she was, waiting our arrival, her massive hulk glittering in the morning sunshine. As we climbed out of the buses and started up the stairs into the interior of the plane, there were several extremely pretty stewardesses there to greet us. Again, the usual wisecracks by the usual wise guys. "This the plane for New York?" asked the private from Queens. "Yes, sir, non-stop," the stewardess with the southern drawl said, chuckling. "Which section is first class?" asked another guy. "The whole plane is first class for a first-class passenger list," said another stewardess. This caused a lot of hooting and howling. As soon as everyone was aboard, the jet immediately began to taxi to the runway. After countless numbers of waits and delays,